Hi guys, so welcome back to my channel, and today we'll be doing something different. We'll be baking special chocolate brownies. It's my own recipe. Don't tell anyone. Okay, and for those of you who are beginners who have never made any brownies, I promise you this will be a super easy recipe, and you will be able to make brownies in no time. So stay tuned and give it a like and a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. We'll be using 2 eggs, about 100 grams of dark compound chocolate. We've got 100 grams of unsalted butter. You can use any brand, it's not important. And we've got about 1 cup of pre-sieved flour, which contains about 1 teaspoon of baking powder. We've got 1/3 cup of sugar. We've got 1/3 cup of cocoa powder, which is also pre-sieved. We've got about 1 teaspoon of vanilla essence and half a teaspoon of butterscotch essence. It's not compulsory, you can only use it if you want. And we'll be using some sprinkles for decoration, and this will be our mixing bowl. Guys, so the first step for today is to melt our chocolate. For that we'll be adding the chocolate into a double boiler. So we'll be putting some water underneath in a separate top, and we'll put a bowl. Remember, the water shouldn't go in the chocolate, otherwise it will ruin it. So we'll be keeping this. The reason this is the first step is because the chocolate, when it melts, it should supposed to be at room temperature before we mix it into the main batter, otherwise it would spoil the taste. Okay guys, so I've kept the chocolate to melt, and while that's happening we can begin our preparations. So first we take the butter, and to that we will add the sugar, and I like to add my essence also at the same time when I whisk everything. Okay, so we mix, and we gotta cream the butter basically. Okay, so as you can see, the texture of the butter has changed. It's a lot creamier than it was before, and you have to just gently fold it and not over stir it, otherwise the fluff, it'll lose its fluffiness. So after this I will add a little of the flour. Add it in little batches, don't add everything together because it has to mix evenly. And once it does, then you can add the eggs one by one. See, we have 2 dry ingredients, which is the cocoa powder and the flour. So you have to remember that you cannot add everything together, because in case the batter gets a little too dry, then we'll have to mix a little more liquid to basically make it a little more liquidy, so that it's not too dry when it's baked. Okay, so I just purposely did this to show you what will happen if you add too much of flour at one go without it mixing evenly. So nothing to worry, you can still mix it well. Let it keep folding gently so that all the mixture is evenly distributed in the dough. Okay, so as you can see, I kept mixing it and eventually it has all mixed inside. So it's time to add 1 egg now. Yeah, so I gently fold the egg in. Now since it's a little wet, it's good to add a little more of the flour. Actually, I'll add all of it right now, and you continue to mix it till it forms an even mixture. Okay, so I evenly mixed all the flour and 1 egg. So now I will add the cocoa powder. This is a small quantity, so you can add the whole thing at one go only and mix it slowly. So at this point it's okay if your batter gets a little dry, because again the chocolate will be added, which makes the whole thing a little moist and gooey. And so basically brownie batter is a little heavy, so that's why it doesn't rise as much as normal cakes would, and it tends to remain soft and gooey in the center. So some of you may feel it is raw, but that is how the good brownie texture is, and it tastes actually really good when it's like that. So I'll add the last egg. And gently fold it in like I did before, so that the mixture is even with all the ingredients mixed in properly. Okay, so as you can see, the cocoa powder and the egg are well combined and mixed up. So I kept continuously folding the mixture. This is to trap air in it so that the brownie gets a little fluffy. And after this I will be adding the melted chocolate, and after that you don't have to stir it, you have to just gently fold the chocolate in. If you stir it, it will ruin the texture of the brownie, so because of that you need to just gently fold it in without, you should avoid too much stirring and folding. Okay, so here's the melted chocolate. I kept it for some time so that it comes to room temperature. As I mentioned before, it has to be at room temperature when you put it in the batter, otherwise because of the heat the batter may tend to get cooked and it will taste really bad. Okay, so I'll be adding the chocolate in now. While I'm doing this, I have already set the oven and preheated it. So you gotta preheat it at 200 degrees for 10 minutes. And when you put the brownie in, you can bake it in for about 20 minutes at 200 degrees initially for 5-10 minutes, and then you reduce it, otherwise the top will get too dry. So now you can see I have gently folded the chocolate in, and now I will transfer the mixture to a baking tray. Always remember to taste the dough, and so I tasted mine and it wasn't really sweet, so I decided to add about 2 tablespoons of sugar. You can add more or less depending on how sweet you want it, and gently fold the whole thing in. I'm adding granulated sugar because it tastes really nice later with that crunch after it's fully cooked. So this is my baking tin that I have lined with foil. Actually it's the easiest way, nobody tells you that, but normally people will tell you to line it with parchment paper or butter paper, or grease the sides with butter or oil. You can do whatever you like, but for me I find the most convenient way is to just line it with the foil, and it just pops right out after it bakes. So now I'll be pouring in the batter. So you can see it's thick and very heavy, so because of that, that's a sign that it's acquired a good texture, and it will be gooey in the center and really tasty when it's fully baked. So you bake it in for 20 to 30 minutes depending on how long it takes. Everyone's oven is different, so you know your oven and you take a call. Basically the top part and the sides have to just be firm. The center is fine if it's undercooked, because when you remove it, the cake tin will still be hot, so it will still be cooking once it's out. So it's okay if the center is a bit undercooked if you want the gooey texture. If you want it to be dry, you can continue cooking it for another 10 minutes. So I happened to find some of my chocolate sprinkles, so I'll be putting that before it bakes. You can add any sprinkles of your choice. You can even mix marshmallows, gems, chocolate chips, and like 5-star or Cadbury pieces in it, depending on what you want and what you like. For me, I like to keep it simple. You can even add roasted nut toppings, or mixed cut nuts in it, whatever you like. So this is how it looks, and I'll be putting it in the oven now. I found these heart sprinkles, so I'll be adding some of that. And the sprinkles that I showed you all before, I will add that after the brownies bake, because I don't want them to get overcooked or burned because of the heat. So I'm just adding a little sprinkles now before. Yeah. Okay, so I placed it in a baking tray, and before doing that, you can tap it gently like this. This is to get rid of any air bubbles on the underside. And now I'm popping it in the oven. Okay, so it's ready to go. Okay, so I have popped it in the oven, and now we have to just wait. And till then, I have taken a coffee break. Okay, so the oven just pinged, and I'm gonna check. So you gotta stick a satay stick or any skewer or anything to see. As you can see, it's still a little wet. That means it's not fully ready. The satay stick should come out clean. If there's batter sticking onto it, that means it's not ready. So I'm gonna put it back in for another 10 minutes. So the oven just pinged and 10 minutes are up. We'll check it now. Okay, so you can see the upper part cracked a little. This is fine. Even if the skewer comes out like this, it's fine, because the tin is still hot, so it will still continue cooking. So we can let it rest for some time. Okay, so our brownie is ready. I removed it from the tin. See, as you can see, some of the sprinkles have melted. This is why I was hesitating to put them before. But no worries, it doesn't affect the flavor. Now I've kept it open for a while so that it can cool, and then I'll slice it and plate it. Oh my god, you guys, just look at the texture. It is absolutely delicious. Look how spongy. Okay, so I am going to try it. Just a little piece, because obviously I am greedy for sweets. It's amazing, and it's the texture I cannot explain to you, but do give it a try, and let me know what you want to see next, you guys. So this is what it looks like, and thank you so much for watching. I hope you give it a try, and let me know in the comments how it turns out, and I'll see you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and also share with your family and friends, and we'll see you next time. Bye.